Welcome to yet another edition of the Virtual Phonetics and Phonology Classroom with Deborah Oluchi Richard, aka Teacher Debbie. Previously, in our classes, we have learned about the history of the English language and also the concept of linguistics, as well as the branches of linguistics. If you have been following our classes, you will understand that phonetics and phonology are part and parcel of the branches of linguistics. So therefore, in our today's class, we'll be looking at the concept of phonetics and phonology. The question then is, what is phonetics and what is phonology? Most times people often contradict or confuse these two concepts to be one. These two concepts are not one. Phonetics is not phonology and phonology is not phonetics. For starters, I will give you a go-to definition, easy, comprehensible, and something you can always remember. Phonetics is the scientific study of the sound of any language, while phonology is the scientific study of the sound of a particular language. So, therefore, while phonetics is broad, phonology is specific. Christopher Say, 1956, in page 2, made us to understand that no language sound has the same sound with another language because every language has a different sound system from another language. So no two language sounds alike. And that is what phonology is all about. No two language sounds alike. Now, to understand the concept of phonetics and phonology even better, when we hear phonetics and phonology of a sound of a language, what you should be looking at is what is phonetics, what are the features of phonetics, and what are the features of phonology. And that's what this virtual class is all about. We'll be looking at what phonetics is. When I say phonetics of a language, okay, I know what I'm talking about. The sounds of every language, what is peculiar to every language, what sound is peculiar to every language. And then when I'm talking about phonology, what am I talking about? What sound is peculiar to this language, particular language? And then we'll further go to look at the phonetics of the English language because this virtual class is based on the phonetics and phonology of the English language, not any other language. Now, you are to put this knowledge into your mother tongue and make your mother tongue preserved, and aside that, you are to bring out the sounds in your mother tongue and document it. So that is the essence for you learning this class. And for the language, second language users of the English language, it is for you to also know how to pronounce words appropriately in the English language better. So we will go further now to look at what phonetics is. Right about now, we'll be looking at what phonetics is all about. And as I have clearly said, it has to do with the scientific study of sounds of any language, like the rules or the features of phonetics is applicable, cut across every language of the world. Now, when you're talking about phonetics, you are looking at three major things, and these things include one, articulatory phonetics, two, acoustic phonetics, and three, auditory phonetics. These are the three major branches of phonetics and which is applicable to every single language of the world. Now the question then is, what then is articulatory phonetics? As the name implies, to be able to articulate. I want to break this down as simple as possible, an easy definition, a go-to definition, something you could just close your eyes and always remember. That is to say, the way humans interact with their psychological structure to produce sounds, that is articulatory phonetics. That when you're talking about articulatory phonetics, you're talking about voicing, you're talking about place of production, or you're talking about manner of production. Now, when you're talking about voicing, it is either the sound is voiced or the sound is voiceless. And how do you know if a sound is voiced or voiceless? When there's a vibration at in your vocal cord, that's your glottis, your, some people call it Adam's apple. When there's a vibration there, you know that okay, this sound I'm producing is voiced. Now that is voiced and voiceless. Some sounds are not voiceless, are not voiced, they are voiceless. um I don't have a board right now, so I really cannot give you detailed example of sounds that are voiced or sounds that are not voiceless, but I can make a sketch. Yeah, I can do that. Now this is just like me trying to give you a detailed example, like an example so that I can further portray my point. Now this is b, b, b. Now pronounce it with me. B, b. Place your hand there. B, b. You could feel the vibration. This is a, a, a. Place your hand there. You could also feel the vibration. Let's go. A, a. You could feel the vibration. So these are voice sounds. I'm using English language as my example, but I am not talking about phonology. I am here talking about phonetics. But using the English language as a typical example to depict voiced and unvoiced sounds. This is b, a for voiced sounds. Now, give you examples for voiceless sounds as well. Now, this is a depiction of voiceless sounds. Of voiceless sound. Remember, I said articulatory phonetics has to do with voiced and voiceless sounds. Now, this is a depiction of voiceless sounds. We have p, p. Now, place your hand here. P, p, p. No sound, no vibration whatsoever. And then we have b, s, like snake, no vibration whatsoever. So is voiceless. P is also voiceless. These are voiceless sounds, and it has to do with the articulation. That's voicing when it comes to articulatory phonetics. Also to note, most of the voiced sounds, most of the vowel sounds are voiced. Now, when you're talking about the English language, when we come to phonetics, phonology, the concept of phonology, we'll explain that better. But in case you're wondering, why didn't I give the vowel example in the voiceless version of voiced and voiceless sounds? It's to let you understand that vowels are majorly voiced, no obstruction whatsoever when producing them. Now, also, articulatory phonetics deals with the manner of place of production. I will talk about place before manner. Now, the place of production, where are these sounds being produced? We have the bilabia. When you hear bilabia, it has to do with these your two lips coming together, producing a sound like we have b, we have p, we have m, we have n. Sorry, n is not part of it. M, w, w, w. So these are sounds that are produced by labia sounds. I just really wish my board was here. It would have been easier showing you these sounds in black and white. And then we have labiodental, that's in between the teeth and the lips. Yeah, the labiodental. We have the velar sounds, we have the alveolar sounds, we have the post-alveolar sounds. These are places of production when it comes to articulatory phonetics. Now we'll go to the manner of production when we're talking about phonetics. Manner of production includes what mannerism is put in place when producing this, and what is and what is not put in place. So we have the plosive. Plosive has to do with sounds produced with force. I'm producing the sound with all my force, with all my might. We have plosives, we have nasals, we have approximants, we have laterals. That for articulatory phonetics. For acoustic phonetics, it looks as the amplitude of waveform, frequency, duration, the spectrum. I mean, it has to do with the science indeed of phonetics, of sound production. And this is how we got to the invention of the telephone. You know, it is through acoustic phonetics. Now, I would love to read an excerpt from my jottings, and this brings me to Alexander Graham Bell. He is the founder of the telephone, and his father, Alexander Melville Bell, was a phonetician. And during the World War II, the Bell telephone brought about the systematic study of the spectral properties of periodic and aperiodic speech sounds, vocal tracts, resonances in vowel formats, voice quality, and prosody. All these are features of the acoustic phonetics. It is through acoustic phonetics that we can now read the beating of the heartbeats. That's we can know the rate of the heartbeats, the frequency, it reads sounds, it reads mm, anything that has to do with sound, it rates it. You know the duration, how long have you, even on call, how long have you spoken? You see the duration and all. It is acoustic phonetics. And that's a very deep study, deep concept. It's, in fact, it is a topic. It is a class on its own. It is a course on its own. It is deep, and most different, yeah, most just so unfortunately in Nigeria, yeah, most people don't really study acoustic phonetics because it is one part of phonetics that it is it is a lot to handle. So lastly, before we come to the end of this class, we'll be looking at the auditory phonetics, which has to do with the hearing of speech sounds. That's the perception of speech sounds. There are different ways speech sounds are perceived. Now you hear through your auditory. That's it also has to do with how we produce sound, like how sounds now like come to be. hmm we have the mouth. Yes, I am producing sound, it's coming out from my mouth. We have the nose, of course. Some sounds come out from the nose, which are the nasal sounds. We have, of course, the eyes on part of it. The lungs, we have the teeth, we have the tongue, we have the hard palate, we have the soft palate, we have the esophagus, we have the glottis, and a host of other properties used in producing sounds. So this is where I come to the end of this virtual phonetics and phonology classroom with Deborah Olicho Richard. And the reason why I have not held my class for a while is because of the issue of the board, because I would really love to give you detailed examples of how these things are. This class would have been much more interesting if I had details examples of everything in black and white, but then I don't. So for now, this class will how will I put it? Will hold. I mean, will be static until I can get means of showcasing my examples to you, so that this class will be interactional and then interesting for both I, the teacher, and you, my student. Thank you for listening. See you when I see you again.